I'm sure you've heard about Tommy. Tommy would not wake up. Brenda came into the room and shook him and says, Tommy, you have to get up. You have to go to school. No, I don't want to go to school. Tommy, you have to go to school. Come on, wake up. No! And he dug himself into the covers, shielded himself from Brenda, and Brenda goes, Tommy, you have to get up and go to school. And he goes, why? She says, because you are the principal. And you know, I'm sure in your workplaces as managers and bosses, you have had days like that, where you just do not want to go to work, even though you're the boss of the environment. And there are just days when you go, why do I have to face that place again? Why do I have to face employees that are not enthusiastic about being there? Why am I not enthusiastic about being there? And you know, a really good quote is somebody said once, enthusiasm is the greatest asset on earth. It beats money, power, and influence. And being enthusiastic about the place you go to work and being the boss of that place is very, very important. And sometimes just through things that happen over time, we're not enthusiastic about going to the place that we run. Or the employees are not excited about going there. Now this is very interesting right here. It says a recent study conducted by Robert Half Legal cited disappointment with management and lack of growth opportunities as the top reasons why employees resign. Disappointment with management. Now that puts a lot of onus on us as bosses, doesn't it? How do we determine whether we are disappointing them, whether we can be better, whether we can take the level of environment in our working situation and elevate it to the point where people are enthused about coming to work? And we can, because we lay the foundation of attitude for our workplace. It's very, very important. And this is very important too. Look at this one. How do you as a boss measure up? 15 million workers report that they have had bad bosses. And more than 50 million say that they feel pressed to stay with a bad boss because of the economy today, according to a recent poll conducted by Lake Research Partners for Work in America. The leading worker complaints are that bosses are lazy and dishonest. Between 1/5 and 1/3 of workers say that their bosses take credit for their work. They do not provide them with recognition for success or hard work. And they do not provide them with the guidance or opportunities necessary for advancement. About 1/3 of workers say it's a little difficult to very difficult to get time off. And what we're going to focus on today is this part right here. Does not provide them with recognition for success or hard work. They say that one of the #1 needs of people is acceptance and approval for what they've done and who they are. And as managers and bosses, it is very, very important to seek out our employees and to give them that recognition. Now, how do we do that? I would like to present to you today a couple of ways in which you can personally, as you go into work and as you set the foundation for the environment in which you're going to be working and your employees, that you employ some of these very, very important techniques. And one of them, the top one in my opinion, I think that affects people more than anything, is the research done by John Gottman at the University of Washington. Now, Dr. Gottman studied married people for 30 years because he wanted to know why some couples get divorced and why others don't. He just said, there's got to be a reason why. If I study it long enough, will I come up with something? And he did. He found out that by using a certain formula, he was able to predict with 94% accuracy who was going to get divorced and who was not. And it was this formula that I want to show you. 5 positives for 1 negative. Now, what does that mean? That means for the relationship to be thriving and to grow, a husband or a wife had to give their spouse 5 positives for every negative. And Dr. Gottman pointed out that that's not just verbal too. It's body language. In other words, if your husband comes home from work and you're working in the kitchen, you don't turn around and you acknowledge him and you don't say hi, that is one negative. Now for that one negative, you have to provide, to have a normal, growing, healthy relationship, 5 positives. That is pretty outstanding, because what do we tend to do? We tend to do just the opposite. Hey, you didn't take out the trash, you didn't make the bed, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Oh, by the way, thank you for oiling the car. We do the opposite, and it's very important to do the 5 positives for the 1 negative. Now, what was very interesting and where it pertains to you as managers and as bosses is that he extended this research and he tried it on the following sets of people. He tried it on parent-child, he tried it on friend-friend, he tried it on bosses and employees, and guess what? It worked across the board. In order to have healthy, thriving, positive relationships, you had to give 5 positives for every negative that you gave to the person. Now, that's pretty important as you're working and thinking about your employees that you encounter every day. Number 2, what's very important, and I tell you, this changed how I reacted to people. Somebody said that everybody is wearing a sign that says this. Please notice me. Now I want you to think about this. When you think of people that you meet at a cocktail party or people you meet just in casual passing, what is it that instills their image, their personality, their character on you as a person? It's how they reacted to you. Did they use your name? Did they seem happy to be introduced to you or to talk to you? Everybody is wearing this silent sign that says, please notice me. Now think about that at work. If they say that the reason why people resign are disappointment with management and the failure to be recognized, what better way than to train yourself as a boss or a manager to notice people that felt need to say, please, I come here every day. I give you a lot of my time. I enhance the company. Can you please notice me? And how do we do that as bosses? I'll never forget, I was speaking in Illinois, and I flew there, did a great job. It was a large audience. I went down into the audience. I interacted. I had funny quotes and sayings. I had my cards. I went back up on the stage. I was doing a great job. It ended. I flew back home. I got my evaluation. Content, A. Personality, A. A down the line, and then it came to audience interaction and response. And she gave me a B. Audience interaction? Are you kidding me? I was in the audience. I was talking to them. How could I have been better? She gave me a B. Everything else was A's. And do you know what I realized after that? I didn't acknowledge the people. I was still performing. I was still me. And I was going to get through my material instead of looking at them in the eyes and valuing them as people. Somebody said this, it hit me with a thud. The honor you deserve. Employees, everybody you meet, the honor that they deserve. As human beings, as fellow workers, this honor by just noticing them and being involved in their lives. Now, how do we do that as bosses? Myriad of ways. Number 1 is memorize their names, know their names. It's very, very important. I heard a young girl singer, she was speaking from the stage, and she sang this song about knowing my name, and she said it came from deep pain because her father had bailed on the family. 17 years later, at a wedding, he reunited with them. Her name was Stephanie, and he came up to her, her own father, and said, "And you must be Priscilla." She was devastated. Her own father didn't know her name. Very important. Know their names. Get little cue cards. This is what I heard that the president does. And I know a lot of CEOs, they get little cards, 3 or 5 cards, and they make notes on it about facts of the family. Who the wife is, how many kids they have, where do they live, what are their hobbies, what are their interests. Get cards and have those on file so that if you know you're going to have an appointment with a person, you can go over it ahead of time and be familiar and just chat. Make them feel accepted, make them feel noticed. Another way is write a note per day. Write an email. There was a principal that I adored that I was teaching under, and he would write little notes and stick them in our boxes. And to this day, I have his notes, and I love to read them. They were so talk about positives and uplifting, and he would look for the good in you, and he would accentuate it, and it just is so thrilling to be recognized that way. Another thing is visit their workstation. Make it a point to say, I am going to visit, and then a percentage maybe of the people that work under you, their offices or their cubicles every day. That just means the world. And listen. Listen to what they have to say. Just don't make it your agenda to talk. Just say, hey, how's it going? Do you have any concerns? How can I help? What an uplifting occurrence that would be in an employee's life. And another thing I'll never forget, one time I was teaching at a school, walked into the teacher's lounge, and here was a little tree made out of little pieces of stick and wood. And on this tree, in the center of the table, in our workspace, were little gift cards to Starbucks. Just hanging there, dangling there, and a note that says, take one. We love you. I can't begin to tell you what that did for us. Number one, it just validated us and perked us up. And number two, he trusted us not to take 5. It was an amazing gift. Just little gifts here and there to validate. And last couple of things is just make sure that the communication is always free-flowing. The two-way, let them know that your office is open, that you can listen to them, that they're welcome to come in and sit down, and just anything that's on their heart, that you will listen to them. And the last thing is just smile a lot. Smile. Even if you don't feel it, they said that the emotions that come from a smile are the same whether it's fake or real. So even if you don't feel like smiling, smile. And it will do wonders to establish that foundation of a joyous, positive powerhouse of a work situation.